So if you've been paying attention lately, I don't think it'll come as a surprise to hear that building a career as a filmmaker has never been more competitive. And since nearly half of all teenagers these days say they want to make YouTube or social media their career, the number of people trying to make their living with the camera in one way or another is only going to keep getting higher. Combine that with the major slump in buying trends and budgets from streamers and broadcasters, and it's no surprise so many passionate early career filmmakers out there are worried they're making a mistake by committing to an industry that's so hard to succeed in. But the truth is that it's actually a lot easier than you think to outpace the rest of the pack, and you can get ahead of 99% of the filmmakers out there if you understand a few basic realities about how to succeed in this business. So I mainly decided to make this video because the channel has just passed the 100,000 subscriber mark, and that means some changes are coming, which I'll get into in a bit. But it's also given me a chance to think about how success works in this business in general. Because even though YouTube and my real filmmaking career are very different jobs, success in both has really come off the back of the same basic strategies. And if they work for me, they're gonna work for you too. Because there's nothing special about me, and I'm definitely not the most naturally gifted filmmaker in the world by any means, and I'm definitely not the most natural YouTuber in the world. Just take a look at my first videos I posted and you'll see how true that is. Today we're gonna talk about everyone's favorite depressing topic, failure. But even so, I managed to make both paths work for myself by doing way less than you might think. And before I really get into this, let me just take a quick second to say thank you to all of you, because without you, this channel would be nothing. When I started this as a weird little COVID side project when most of my international documentary work shut down, I didn't really know if it would work or not, but now it's become so much more than I ever expected it could be, and I'm beyond grateful. To honor the moment, I'm going to give away a free one-on-one consultation call to a lucky subscriber out there, so stick around to the end to find out how to enter your name for that one. You will actually need to be subscribed to the channel to be eligible, so make sure you do that before you apply. But getting back to the main subject here, why do I think this channel has succeeded, and how is that at all connected to my success in the mainstream film industry? Well, to start with, it comes down to goals and your mindset around them when you're starting out. I mean, yeah, it helps that I have quite a bit of knowledge to share after nearly 15 years of working with cameras professionally, but that doesn't mean nearly as much as I thought it would when it comes to making YouTube videos. Like I said, just go back and look at my first, say, 15 or 20 attempts, and it's pretty obvious that knowing how to shoot a documentary for Netflix does not automatically mean that you can make engaging educational videos. And honestly, even as I was first starting to upload, I knew they weren't that good, but I kept doing it anyways. And trust me, it was terrifying to think of what would happen if one of my industry colleagues saw those back then. So why did I do it? Because I knew from already breaking into the film industry without any formal training or education that it's all about setting long-term goals and sticking to them. When most people start something new, whether that's filmmaking or YouTube or whatever, it's super common to have massive ambitions and a dream of what it would be like to suddenly have the perfect, engaging, and creatively stimulating career. But the reality is that there's nothing sudden about it, and anyone who gets into any creative career thinking that they'll find quick success is in for a brutal wake-up call. I'm talking about the person who writes up a quick outline for their first ever documentary already thinking what it would be like to sell it to Netflix, because for 99.9% of people out there, that's not gonna happen. Overnight success is so rare in my experience, but that doesn't stop people from thinking that they're different, and that's dangerous. The truth is that there was nothing particularly fast about my filmmaking career or my YouTube growth for that matter, but because I never had any expectations that it would be otherwise, I didn't let that stop me. I've already made a ton of videos about how I slowly broke into film and set long-term goals. I mean, I even wrote a full guide on how I set long-term plans that you can get for free in the description, but I also came into YouTube with the exact same mindset. I started posting weekly videos in February of 2022, and even though it would have been really cool to go viral or something, I pretty much knew it was gonna be a slow process. So I set my goals for the long term. 1 year of weekly posting to get to 1,000 subscribers, then another year to get to 10,000, and then hopefully to 100,000 by the end of the third year. And weirdly, I did hit those targets, and we're crossing the 100K line a little under 4 months out from the 3-year anniversary. But the timeline did pretty much follow my expectations in the end. Now, 10xing your numbers every year is for sure an ambitious goal, but it didn't sound nearly as ambitious when I said I was gonna make 52 uninterrupted videos just to hit 1,000 without making a single cent. Because let's be honest, 1,000 subs doesn't really have any impact on your life, and it was an incredible amount of work and time to get there. But I knew that if I kept my eye on the long-term goal and stopped thinking about the short-term growth, other than just making one video after another, something good would happen. And here we are. So the lesson here is to put virality virality or overnight success out of your mind, and that's already going to separate you from the pack who's already counting the money Amazon or whoever is going to pay them for their groundbreaking idea. And that ties in nicely to the second point I want to make today, because setting goals is one thing, but what 99% of new filmmakers don't do is the actual work. And I'm not talking about some pipe dream project set on the other side of the world. I'm talking about the day in, day out grind that actually gets results. Because it's all well and good to have big plans for what you want to do down the road, but it's a commitment to consistency over time that makes things grow. And that's true for anything, whether it's a career in the industry or a YouTube channel. Now, I'll just use YouTube as an example in honor of the 100K mark, because since I decided to commit to weekly uploads more than 2.5 years ago, I've never missed one, no matter what else was happening in my life. And since YouTube is actually my second job behind my DP work, there were a lot of reasons why it would have been easier to skip a week when things got busy. But having already built up careers in first photojournalism and then cinematography before, I knew that if I wanted YouTube to work, consistency was going to be key. And so I ignored the part of my brain that said I was too busy, and I made the videos. Like when I was living out of a tent in the boreal forest working on my first feature doc as a director, I batched 16 videos before I left and had them uploading on an automatic schedule. When I shot for 120 straight days in the Arctic last year, I carried my tripod and a collapsible stool into the middle of the bush into my downtime. And I even wrote the whole outline for this video while I was on a plane to an international job at like 4 a.m. In all of those cases, it would have been so much easier to just skip it, and honestly, I doubt anyone would have noticed. YouTube isn't calling me to ask where my videos are, and most of you watching probably only know a new video is out when it appears on the browse page, so it would have been no sweat at all to give myself a break. But that's not how you get results, and since I promised myself that I wouldn't stop that schedule until I got to 100K, I didn't even consider it as an option. Now, full disclosure here, now that we've hit the target and the channel is doing well, I'm gonna try and prioritize high quality long form videos over hitting that schedule at all costs. I'm busier than ever with a feature still in post and another one in production and a 6-part doc series starting pre-production in a few weeks, and it's at the point where something will have to give before too long. I'm gonna keep aiming for weekly when it makes sense because I actually like making these videos, but if it's a toss up between making a good video and making a bad video just for the sake of uploading on a Monday, I'll probably start skipping weeks here and there. But I didn't make that decision until nearly 3 years of never missing a single week, and it's that kind of consistency that's gonna help you stand out. Now that's easy to say and very hard to do, but that's exactly why 99% of others aren't doing it. If you can find that consistency yourself in whatever form it needs to be depending on your goals, you're gonna rip past everybody on your way to the top. It could be a target number of emails every week, or a quote of short films for your portfolio every year, or a YouTube upload schedule. It doesn't really matter. I'm not special or extra talented or anything. I'm just consistent. So find consistency, whatever that looks like for you, and don't make excuses about why you don't have enough time when you watch 2 hours in Netflix and open Instagram 42 times that day. Embrace the grind and stick with it. But let me just make one thing clear here, because when I throw around words like consistency, a lot of people think they need like 5 hours of uninterrupted creative time to make any progress. That's when I start to see comments like, easy to say when you don't have kids, or must be nice to have so much free time, or whatever. And yes, a busy schedule makes things hard, and I can only imagine how tight things get when kids enter the equation. But you have to stop thinking about consistency in terms of huge breakthroughs and instead focus on making a little bit of progress every day. It's not about planning that film in the Amazon or the distant refugee camp that's gonna make you burst onto the international festival circuit and make every exciting director to watch list, because thinking too big is one of the easiest ways to make sure you don't get anywhere. Yes, busy people don't have 7 hours a day to work on their scripts, but we can still make incredible long-term progress with even tiny chunks of effort as long as it's consistent. Like this whole channel is built off an hour in a day in a coffee shop where I sit down and write out ideas and script outlines, and that's really all. I mean, yeah, as it's grown and I've launched courses and consultation calls and all that stuff, there's a bit more to it than that, but the core of the channel, like the weekly upload schedule, really is as simple as an hour or so a day. Would it be easier not to go to the coffee shop and just keep reading my book or passively absorbing social media in bed while I wait for my call time or the first meeting of the day? Yeah, for sure. There are plenty of times when I look at the clock and realize I only have 45 minutes until I have to be somewhere, and I think about all the reasons I could come up with for not writing that day. But I ignore those voices and I go to the coffee shop anyways because I know that some small blocks of time lead to big results in the long term. I can fit this block of time into almost any part of my day, from early in the morning to late at night, so there are so few times when I genuinely don't have any time that any excuse I could be making is kind of lying to myself. Apart from shoot days, of course, because when I'm on the road, all that goes out the window and I'm just kind of holding on for dear life. Most people, dare I say 99% of people, aren't making this time though. They're waiting until it's more convenient or until they have that full long weekend to really focus. Like they'll talk about how once they quit their job, they'll finally be able to start that script or outline that pitch deck, but for whatever reason now is just not the right time. But when you realize that the average American logs nearly 4 hours of screen time a day on their phones alone, so not counting computers, which is where most people actually produce stuff, it gets harder to believe. Like, am I supposed to believe that those 4 hours of phone time are all work emails and text to loved ones? No, for a big chunk of people, that's mindlessly looking at TikTok or YouTube or whatever your poison is. And after a couple of months, that would have easily been enough time to have planned a film, written a book, or started a YouTube channel. So yes, we're all busy and it's hard making time, but you can achieve amazing things with an hour a day, or even half of that as long as you do it consistently and with a plan in mind. So stop waiting for the perfect time when you're inspired or when you think you're gonna have the time to really buckle down, because that time is probably never gonna come, and a year later, you're still gonna be waiting. The people who do carve off that 90 or 60 or even 30 minutes a day to make progress, those are the people who are going to leave the other 99% behind. So with all that said, what does the future have in store for this channel? Well, more of the same, really. I am gonna chill a little bit on my schedule and give myself permission to miss a week if it means getting out a much better quality video later. But for the most part, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing and going to the coffee shop every day and trying to make better and better videos. I'm on the road a ton these days, even though it looks like I sit in this office all the time. So there's gonna be some really cool BTS content, as well as I test things out for upcoming projects and try to get better at what I do. Like, I really do want to use this channel to share more of the weird tests and experiments I do as a professional DP. So things like comparing a whole bunch of key lights to see which one is actually the best, or putting a whole bunch of primes side by side to see which ones I actually want to spend my money on for my next doc, or building out a camera package for international teams, stuff like that. It's hard to actually bring a BTS camera onto the set of a paid show, as there are all sorts of NDAs and contracts involved, but whenever possible, I'm going to try and get out of the office and show you my process from here on out. I'll also keep putting out these desk videos too, because it's fun, but I am trying to aim for depth and value as much as possible. I'm also going to open up my cinematography course as evergreen content and move away from the big launch style marketing approach that we've been doing for the last 18 months, because I really want to be spending my time learning and shooting, not writing sales emails. All the business books tell me this will mean less income, but since it means I can free up my time for making better videos and doing the stuff I actually like, I think it's gonna be worth it. All that is to say, I think this is gonna be the best year yet for the channel, and again, I'm so grateful to everyone who helped me get this far. I really could not have done it without you. So let me know in the comments which kind of videos you want to see me make from here on out, and also check out the link in the description to enter your name for a free one-on-one call where we can talk about anything you want, from gear to career planning. It only takes a second, and you just need to tell me a few sentences about why this is the right time for you to do a professional development call like this, and then in a couple of weeks, I'll announce the winner via email and the community wall, and we'll set up a time. So thanks everyone again, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 years. See ya.